everyone. Welcome to a special episode of the Golden Gridiron podcast. My name is Jacob Elliott, and I'm honored to be here with Armanti Edwards. This was set up by House United. I want to thank them so much, but I also want to thank Mr. Edwards for being here with me. This is an honor and a privilege to be here with you, Mr. Edwards. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. My name is Jacob Elliott. If you guys don't know that, I am an Appalachian State fan, 21 years old, love App State, and just can't wait to get this podcast started. I stopped this podcast for a while. Now I'm starting it back up. Had to do some school stuff, but I'm glad to start back up and have such an amazing person like Armanti Edwards come on. And if you don't mind, Mr. Edwards, we'll get started with the questions if you don't mind.
No, we're good. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So I watched some of your other interviews recently with other people, and I got some of these questions, and I learned a lot more about you. And you're a really interesting person. Growing up, I realized, I understood and realized that you grew up loving football, and you played football, and you actually, one of your family members actually coached you like throughout your younger years. Am I correct when I say that?
Yes, that's correct.
So how did that come about? Did you always love football? Your parents always supportive of you, or just something you were born to do?
Pretty much, it was something that I was just can remember doing since I was walking or anything. I have older brothers, older siblings, older cousins that have also played football. So football has always been a part of my life. And once, I was old enough to play, then, of course, I wanted to step out on the field as well.
Yes, sir. And I realized that, and that's really cool. And I know from that you played some really big schools. What was one of your bigger schools that you played that you actually can remember of?
Burns High School out of Spartanburg definitely was the biggest school that we played in my high school career. They were nationally ranked when we played them. So at one point, there was either ranked number 3 or number 5 in the nation of all high schools. So.
Yeah, that's impressive. I know of Burns because I think one of my previous coaches I coached for, I think he coached at Burns too. So that's how I know of Burns, and Burns is really regularly known. So that's a big school you played, and that's a really big opportunity you guys had. Did you win or lose that game?
Unfortunately, my 4 years in high school, we were never able to get past Burns. That was pretty much the school that was stopping us from, getting to the state title.
Did you have a favorite play you like to run during the games during high school?
Not really. Yeah, I didn't really have any kind of favorite plays. It was pretty much 50-50. Half of our offense we ran from the I formation under center, and the other half was out of the shotgun when the offense was just now coming along. So we're maybe a year into schools adapting to the spread offense. So I really didn't have any special plays that I would love to go to. It was just whatever the coach called, I was gonna try to make the play happen to the best of my ability.
When you guys were being recruited by teams, why'd you choose App State? And you were originally going to go to Georgia Southern, then you chose App State. Why was that?
Couple of reasons. Leading up to my decision to go to Georgia Southern, I was not in talks with Appalachian State. At that time, they were not recruiting me. So best option before Appalachian State, in my eyes, was Georgia Southern. At that time, they were pretty good. Their offense they ran the same kind of offense that I was accustomed to running from high school. So that was pretty much, me being comfortable going to the next level and not having to really, make that huge transition to learn a different style of offense. But, the other thing that happened is they fired their coaches. So the coaches that were recruiting me from Georgia Southern are no longer there anymore. So I don't have any kind of connections with this new coaching staff that's coming in. And then during that same week, I was heading to Georgia Southern for my official visit and pretty much signed my letter of intent. Appalachian State called, and once they called and made a house visit, and then we scheduled a campus visit for that weekend. I talked with my head high school coach, Shell Dula, and he said he felt that this was the best spot for me.
Just talk a little bit about how much Jerry Moore means to you.
I mean, it goes without notice that he wasn't just a football coach. He did a great job of interacting with all the players. He did a great job with interacting and making everybody feel as comfortable as they possibly could. And it wasn't just about football for him. Grades, of course, and he always wanted to know how everybody was doing outside of football and their families and everything. So as a kid, not just me, but everybody that has to leave home for the first time and be in a new place without their parents, he stepped in and did a great job at, being that mentor we was looking for.
My next question is, when your first season at App, how did you feel when you came in for the first game starting?
I mean, my first game was just like my last game. For me, I never got nervous before games. I was more excited, hyped than anything. So I'm more anxious to get out on the field than anything else. My nervousness, I guess, from all the preparation and hard work that is put into practice. Once the game comes, I'm ready for it. I mean, I feel that I prepared to the best of my capabilities, and all that just leads into the game.
That you were always not expected to start. Am I correct when I say that? You were kind of expected to be behind Trey Elder.
Yes, that's correct.
So when that happened, you were just kind of like, you were ready for it, but you weren't expecting it. Am I correct when I say that?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, when App recruited me, they let it be known between me and Coco Hillary, number one, that Coco played quarterback in high school as well. So they let us know, whoever is not the backup quarterback for Trey Elder is going to move to receiver. So we already knew, what the game plan was. And of course, Trey Elder off winning a national title for App the year before when Richie Williams got injured. So, he's pretty much the next guy up. Everybody's planning on it and everything. So it's not anything that the coaches didn't tell me before I came there. So I already they had a quarterback waiting on his turn to be the next guy. And, it just worked out differently, but I just made sure, I was going to be the best backup quarterback that I could be and be prepared for anything.
So when you went to App, I know you were looking at Georgia Southern too, but this kind of goes out question, kind of relates in a way. Did you understand the intensity of the rivals that App and Georgia Southern had, and Wofford and App and all the SoCons? Did you understand that coming into App, or did you learn that pretty quickly?
No, you learn it pretty quickly. When with schools like App, Georgia Southern, Wofford, Furman, I'm unfamiliar with these schools. They are, considered at this time smaller schools. So of course, as a kid, I'm looking at the big schools. One of my favorite schools to watch growing up was Florida State. So going into it, I had no clue about most of these schools at the time. But, once you get there and preparing and you're watching film of previous years and you're understanding the tradition and everything, you catch on pretty quick.
But how do you feel after you win the national championship? Like, how was your feeling? Was you feeling happy, accomplishment, like satisfied? Like, what were some of your feelings?
Feeling very accomplished. At that time, that was the biggest achievement I had playing football. In high school, I was kind of a part of a class that we were sandwiched in between. When I was in middle school, my high school won two state titles. Then immediately the year after I left, they win another one. So in my 4 years, we don't get that experience, but I finally get to know what it feels like to be the last team standing my freshman year.
Talk a little bit about the pregame of Michigan. Like, what were you guys' mindset? I know you guys were pumped, but you also felt like you can win the game. What was going through your mind pregame of Michigan?
Pretty much the same thing. Michigan is no different routine than I've had from previous, 13, 14 games of my college career. So I made sure my pregame routine stayed the same no matter who was playing. So, once I stepped out on the field for that first play, everything just feels normal and natural to me. So that's pretty much it. Once I stepped on the field, it didn't matter, what color the other team was or what school it was. The end goal was the same, and that was to come out with the win.
How much was the crowd involved, like playing in front of that many
Early
people?
on, early on they wasn't. Obviously, we were winning, so it's kind of hard for the crowd to be a factor when their home team is losing at that moment. But even before then, we were prepared for it. All throughout camp, we had the music blasting so loud, and we practiced silent count pretty much all of camp. So we went into that game prepared, and obviously when they took the lead in the second half, we went to the silent count for offense, and it still worked wonders for us.
The Richmond game, can you tell me a little bit about, like, were you just having fun out there? Were you just being you, or was just your mindset was on the, like, just doing what you need to do?
It's always having fun. No matter what game it is, it's fun first. If I'm not having fun in it, then I'm not going to be able to play my very best. So, yes, it's fun. Always comes first, but immediately after fun, you have to know your assignments and do the best job that you can to make those plays work.
So can you talk about how you got involved in the CFL?
I didn't know much about it. Obviously being in the United States, you're watching a lot of college football and NFL. So NFL is obviously the dream, but at this time, my NFL dreams are not panning out as I wanted them to. And at this time, I'm pretty much about to hang up the cleats, but I keep getting, calls from the CFL to come up there and play. And, it just, after a year off from football, get my head space cleared and everything, I just went up there, took a chance at it and to see what happened.
How fun was it to win the Grey Cup and win a title in a national sport? I just love watching the CFL. Do you have a favorite CFL memory, or is there just so many you can't really pick one out?
Obviously, the winning the Grey Cup, so that's always memory number one.
Two kids at stage, they understand that who their dad is at App State.
Yes, they got an idea of it now. They've been up here to enough games now after my career to understand.
And one last question for you. Tomorrow is the big day for you, and I know that you are a very humble person. You're very, from listening and talking to you, and your emotions are very in check a lot. And never, and you said you barely cry, but tomorrow, when do you think it's going to set in the magnitude of tomorrow? Do you think it's going to set in afterwards or during or before?
I have no clue. Maybe during, but yeah, I don't know. Just a great experience that we're gonna have. Had quite a few family and friends that were able to make it, so I'm just looking forward to being able to enjoy that moment with a lot of people that I consider special in my life.
Yes, sir. And all the App fans consider you a part of their lives from growing up too. And I'm very, very grateful to be able to talk to you, Mr. Edwards. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our interview. I just want to thank Mr. Edwards for being here and doing this interview with me. And that is all for the Golden Gridiron podcast. Thank you guys so much.